Michael Rosen's Poetry Workshop. This one's called My Brother. Now, writing about people in your family is great fun. I've always done this. I've often written about my mum, my dad, my brother, my grandparents. And what you have to do is conjure up a little scene. Do you know what I mean by a scene? That's like when you're watching a film and then you watch people having a conversation or doing things and then it comes to an end. And people who write these scenes that you see in films and on telly, they try to make a scene mean something interesting. And poems can be like that as well. You can create an interesting scene. So when I'm lying in bed or when I'm making notes and thinking about what I might write, little scenes come into my head from when I was a boy. And one scene that comes into my head is about my brother. Now, you may have met my brother before in some of the poems that I've written that are here on this YouTube channel. Lots of poems about my brother, so you can have a look at them, like The Watch, for example, or The Babysitter. My brother is in that one, so you can go and find that here on this channel. And this one is called My Brother, and it's about my brother and me. And see what you make of what he's like and what I'm like in this scene. So it goes like this. My brother's on the floor roaring. Yep, my brother's on the floor roaring. Why is my brother on the floor roaring? My brother is on the floor roaring because he's supposed to finish his beans before he has his pudding. But he doesn't want to finish his beans before he has his pudding. He says he wants his pudding now. But they won't let him. So now my brother is on the floor roaring. They're saying, I give you one more chance to finish those beans or you don't go to Tony's. But he's not listening. He's on the floor roaring. He's getting told off. I'm not. I've eaten my beans. And you know what I'm doing now? I'm eating my pudding. And he's on the floor roaring. If he wasn't on the floor roaring, he'd see me eating my pudding, and if he looked really close, he might see a tiny little smile in the corner of my mouth, but he's not looking because he's on the floor roaring. So there's my scene. And what can you see? You can see my brother. We know what he's doing. He's on the floor roaring, and then I'm sitting there and I'm eating my beans. But horribly, not very nicely, there's a little smile on my face because I'm thinking, look at me, I'm all right. You see, and I'm now getting my pudding. I'm eating my pudding. So that's like almost like a running commentary. I've said it's happening now. So it's almost like when you watch sport on the telly, like football or running or something, and they're saying, and now he's doing this, and now he's doing that, and she's running here, and she's running there. And I'm doing it like a running commentary. My brother's on the floor roaring. So there's an idea for a poem. You can think of a scene, any scene you like, going on in your home, or maybe at your grandparents' house or your auntie and uncle's house, and you can write it so it's happening right now. And you can pick out one little bit of it, like I did, on the floor roaring, and make it so it's a little bit of a rhythm to it, so that also when you're doing it, people can guess what's coming next. And then in contrast to that is something else that's going on. And in my case, of course, it was me eating my dinner. I was eating my beans. I was finishing my beans. So if you can think of a scene that you could write about, and write about it like you're in there right now as a commentator. You know, commentators, they stand there with a microphone. Well, this could be like that. My brother is on the floor roaring. You see, because that's what it's like. And you can write it like you're a commentator. I'm going to read it to you one more time. I'll read it through quite quickly, and you guess when that on the floor roaring thing comes. And maybe that will make you think of a kind of chorus thing that you could do in your poem as well. Here we go. My brother's on the floor roaring. Yes, my brother's on the floor roaring. Why is my brother on the floor roaring? My brother is on the floor roaring because he's supposed to finish his beans before he has his pudding, but he doesn't want to finish his beans before he has his pudding. He says he wants his pudding now, but they won't let him. So now my brother is on the floor roaring. They're saying, I give you one more chance to finish those beans or you don't go to Tony's. But he's not listening. Why not? Because he's on the floor roaring. He's getting told off. I'm not. I've eaten my beans, and do you know what I'm doing now? I'm eating my pudding. And he's on the floor roaring. If he wasn't on the floor roaring, he'd see me eating my pudding. Yeah. And if he looked really close, he might see a tiny little smile at the corner of my mouth. Yeah, but he's not looking because he's on the floor roaring. Okay, so that's a way in which you can make it into like a performance piece and get people to join in with your little scene that you're going to tell about something going on in your house, something maybe at granny and grandparents' house, or at auntie and uncle's house, or around your friend's house, anything at all, and maybe try and see whether you can make a little chorus to keep it going. That comes from a book I did called Jelly Boots, Smelly Boots.